The story begins in 1973 in a Soviet central jail, where there was a prisoner named Bahami who had been jailed almost 2 years ago. He saw that Captain Vakilsky was a very cruel man who would brutally beat the prisoners for his own pleasure. Soon, Bahami learned about a workshop where every prisoner dreamed of working. In fact, whichever prisoner worked in that workshop for 2 days, their jail sentence would be reduced by 3 days. Moreover, while working in the workshop, their attention would remain focused on the work, and the days would pass by easily. Then one day, the warden called Bahami to his office and gave him a chance to reduce his sentence. He wanted Bahami to form a team that would work in the workshop and double its productivity. He also said that if his team succeeded in doubling the work, Bahami would be released within a year. The warden said that he could choose any prisoner of his choice for the team. However, when Bahami said that he wanted to choose a prisoner named Hatchet, the warden flatly refused because Hatchet was a very dangerous killer who had mercilessly killed 2 people. But when Bahami said that he was very hard-working and necessary for the team, the warden eventually agreed. Finally, Bahami formed his team, which included prisoners named Hatchet, Needle, Old Master, and Crazy. Bahami's friends were a little afraid of Hatchet, so Bahami explained to them to just let Hatchet do his work without talking to him. In fact, Bahami and Hatchet were very good friends because some time ago, Hatchet had saved Bahami's life. Soon, their team arrived at the workshop to work. There, Needle started irritating a guard, making the guard very angry. But he could not beat Needle yet because they had to do the important work of the workshop. Then we see that all the prisoners were preparing to work. After a while, the guard came and gave everyone chocolates because his wife had given birth to a boy. However, later, the captain warned the guard to keep his distance from the prisoners, saying there was no difference between them and animals. If they felt the guard had a soft nature, they would swallow him raw. Meanwhile, Bahami's team's troubles had begun when Hatchet refused to start the machine. The captain signaled Bahami, so he went to Hatchet, and then Hatchet told him that a pigeon was stuck in the machine. Now they all tried to open the machine together, but they did not have the tools for this task. Then the captain and the guard came there to see what was going on. Although a pigeon was stuck in the machine, the captain still ordered the machine to be started. Then the captain asked the guard to start the machine, but as soon as the guard pressed the button, Hatchet grabbed him by the neck and said that until the pigeon was freed, the machine would not start at any cost. Suddenly, Needle attacked the captain from behind and knocked him unconscious. Then he asked Crazy to close the door. Seeing all this, Bahami was quite worried because the situation was getting out of hand. Now the captain and the guard were in their custody, and they started thinking about the next plan. Bahami said that he would call the police and tell them everything truthfully, but Hatchet threatened him, saying that if he did anything like that, they would kill the captain. At this, the captain angrily said that none of them would survive, which made them all very afraid. Then Bahami said that they should leave the captain and the guard and get back to work. Old Master and Crazy also agreed with Bahami, but Needle knew that if he let the captain go, he would lose his life. Then Bahami tried to get Hatchet to release the guard, but Hatchet said that until the pigeon was freed, the work would not start. Now Bahami tried to open the machine again, but he failed. Then Hatchet said that if this pigeon was killed, he would also kill this guard. Hearing this, the captain laughed and said, "Why is Hatchet making such a fuss over a small bird?" Then he started mocking Hatchet's dead brother, which made Hatchet angrily run to beat the captain, but the other prisoners somehow calmed him down. Now Bahami knew that the jail guards would soon be there, so he planned to release the captain and the guards so that in return, they could safely return to jail. A little later, the guards came and started knocking on the door. Then the captain shouted and told them the whole story. Bahami went to the door and spoke. But then the guards started opening the door from outside. Then a guard got into a car to call the other guards. On the other hand, Old Master said that he would go out and talk to the guard. Then he raised his hands and came out of the door, and a guard pointed a gun at him. Then suddenly, without saying anything, that guard fired a shot, causing Old Master's death on the spot. When Bahami and his companions learned of this, Bahami angrily broke the control unit, causing the door to close again. Sometime later, the jail warden and an ambulance arrived there. The warden said that he wanted to talk to those prisoners and resolve the matter. The warden tried to send the police away so that the prisoners would not be afraid and take any wrong step, but the police chief was not ready to move from there at all. On the other hand, the group of prisoners was stuck inside and did not know what to do. Then Bahami gave water to the captain and said that they should open the door and surrender themselves to the police, but Crazy said that they would all have the same fate as Old Master. Then Hatchet also threatened that if any of them opened the door, they would kill the guard and the captain mercilessly. If they wanted to survive this trouble, they had to get that pigeon out alive. Here, the police chief told the warden that he was given 1 hour to resolve the matter, or else the police would have to forcefully enter. Then the warden spoke to the prisoners through a microphone and told them to release the captain and the guard, as it was in their best interest. The warden tried to assure them that nothing would be done to them, and this act would be forgotten as just a mistake. Then Bahami thought of trying to open the machine again and also released Hatchet from the chains by taking the keys from the captain. When Needle objected, Bahami said that they would only open the door and surrender themselves to the police after freeing the pigeon. This led to a physical altercation between Needle and Bahami. Needle was about to take Bahami's life with a tool when Hatchet lifted him from behind and slammed him against the wall. After that, they all started working to open the machine. Then Hatchet used the strength of his arms to open the lid in just a few moments, but there was still one more layer to remove. They saw that the pigeon was still alive. Then Bahami asked Hatchet why he was making so much effort to save a pigeon. Then Hatchet told him that he has nightmares every day in which he is buried alive in a grave. He screams terribly, but in the end, he dies due to suffocation. Now he was seeing himself in this pigeon, and he felt that if this pigeon survived, perhaps Hida would survive, and his bad dreams would end. Then Bahami asked for the guards' help in opening the machine, so he said they should first release the captain, so that he could go out and tell the police everything. However, Needle was unwilling to let him go, and suddenly he struck the captain with a stick. Bahami explained to the guard that if they let the captain go, Hida would be killed because the government would not hesitate to use bullets just to save him. Then Bahami threatened to tie up the guard as well, so he agreed to help. Outside, the police, the captain, and the warden were thinking about how to resolve this case. The warden was convinced that the captain and the guard were still alive. Inside the workshop, the prisoners were trying to melt the iron with a welding machine, but they did not know how to operate the machine. Then the captain came forward to help them. Here, as the captain was pouring the molten iron, the soldiers outside were preparing to bomb the door. Finally, the prisoners succeeded in opening the machine, but that pigeon did not want to fly away from there. Then the captain took out his gun and pointed it at the prisoners, but suddenly Hatchet jumped and grabbed his neck. Then Hatchet crushed his head and mercilessly killed him, causing the guard to become afraid. After this, Hatchet took the pigeon out and cleaned it with water. Then suddenly there was a massive explosion on the door, and several soldiers entered inside. All the prisoners laid down on the ground out of fear, but Hatchet stood up and released the pigeon into the air. Then the police chief ordered firing, and after this incident, Hatchet was killed on the spot. However, the remaining prisoners lying on the ground started celebrating the freedom of the pigeon. The police chief tried to kill them too, but the guard stopped him from behind. The guard lied that Hatchet had held them all hostage, and for this reason, the prisoners were sent back to jail without any punishment. Bahami and his team considered Hatchet a hero, and with the pigeon being freed, Hatchet's life's purpose was fulfilled, and he departed.